Someone like you doesn't belong here.
She said, glaring at me as if I were something filthy. That was Nancy, the president's daughter. From the first time we met, it seemed like Nancy took an instant dislike to me. I hadn't done anything in particular, but for some reason, she just didn't like me. Until now, I've put up with Nancy's attitude because, directly or not, we had to interact. But tolerating it any further won't change Nancy, and it's just a waste of time and effort. I'm leaving, I said briefly and walked away. However, the moment I left the venue, Nancy's face went pale and she chased after me.
I'm sorry, please come back.
It seems she panicked and chased after me after learning who I really am. My name is Henry Hamilton, and I'm 45 years old. I was just an ordinary guy until college, with no particular talents. I was aimlessly wondering how I was supposed to live my life from here on out. Suddenly, I found myself having to start job hunting. Even so, there wasn't a company I particularly wanted to work for, and I didn't really have any goals. Listening to company presentations, I couldn't find any that appealed to me. That's when I met someone. It was Daniel Kramer, a young man who had started Alphabet Corporation in his youth. He was at a job fair, but the presence around him as a CEO was distinctly different. I was drawn in and sat down to listen intently to his speech. Thinking I might never meet such an incredible person again, I decided to apply for a job at Alphabet Corporation. Since Alphabet Corporation was the only place I wanted to go, I started my job search, focused solely on them. All the hard work paid off, and I successfully joined Alphabet Corporation. Once inside, I found that everyone was highly motivated and competent. Compared to my lax past self, everyone seemed incredible, making me feel quite insignificant. Moreover, they always looked out for me as a newcomer, creating an environment that was easy to work in. I've worked at this company for 22 years. It was all thanks to the support from those around me. With help from everyone, I've managed to get this far, and even became an executive. The reason I've made it this far is that, over these 22 years, I've studied relentlessly and devoted my time to work, sparing little time for sleep. And today, the CEO is going on an international business trip. We, the executives, have to protect the company. In the midst of this, Nancy Kramer, the CEO's daughter, is scheduled to visit for an inspection. Waking up this morning, I sensed a gloomy atmosphere and opened the curtains. The sky was covered in gray, and the weather was so depressing it almost brought me down. I like rainy days, but I couldn't quite enjoy today's weather. Somehow, I had a bad feeling that something might go wrong. As usual, I prepared and left for work. I drove the usual 3 miles and walked about 3 minutes from the parking lot to the office. The weather, seemingly on the verge of raining but not quite there, still had the power to dampen my spirits. Hope nothing bad happens. With that thought, I entered the building. Arriving at the office, I briefly tidied up my neatly arranged desk before starting work. While listing out today's tasks, I was suddenly approached from behind.
Oh, who might you be?
I quickly turned around, and there stood Nancy Kramer, the CEO's daughter. That's right, he mentioned his daughter would be visiting today. My name is Henry Hamilton.
You look rather dull. Did you even wash your face?
Excuse me. Caught off guard by her unexpected remark, I was left bewildered. After saying what she wanted to say, Nancy walked over to another employee. I returned to my usual work, still feeling uneasy about her words. A few hours passed, and it was time for lunch. As I was about to eat at a restaurant outside, I saw Nancy sitting right next to me with a man I didn't know. I thought about speaking to her, but decided to focus on my meal instead since she was with someone else. Then, I overheard this from the next table.
My dad is going to step down as CEO soon.
Does that mean you can't do whatever you want like before?
Yep, I won't be the CEO's daughter anymore. But I wish he would just make me the CEO.
Recently, there have been rumors that someone else will take over as CEO. It seems Nancy has heard these rumors too, but she doesn't know who will be appointed. Nancy seems to have been doing whatever she wanted until now, and she's dissatisfied that she won't be able to continue living as before.
I mean, our company is just full of old men. There's no one even remotely handsome.
I'm here, isn't that enough?
That's different. Look, like that guy over there. I wouldn't even want to touch him.
While saying this, she pointed at me. I tried not to care, but they even started saying this for fun.
He's dressed neatly and having lunch at a restaurant, but he can't hide his poor aura.
True. You can just feel that we come from different worlds.
They were clearly speaking loud enough for me to hear. Since I couldn't possibly confront the CEO's daughter, I pretended not to hear and just got through the situation. A few days later, the new CEO's inauguration party was held. I was supposed to attend, but when I arrived at the venue, I noticed something was off. My seat on the seating chart inexplicably had no glass. I found it strange and mentioned it to the staff, who told me that Nancy had said it wasn't necessary. Why, I thought, but they brought an extra glass, so it was fine. However, even as the party started, my meal was still not prepared, and the other employees around me were also at a loss. During a break, I saw Nancy walking towards me from a distance.
Hey, why are you here?
I was invited.
Poor people are out of place here.
Nancy spoke loudly, drawing the attention of everyone around. I was called poor and checked my appearance within my sight. But I couldn't find anything wrong or any reason to be called poor. I've never been called poor or shabby before. Confused by the sudden confrontation, Nancy grabbed my hand while laughing loudly.
Anyway, your presence spoils the atmosphere here. It's disrespectful to the new CEO, so please leave.
Wait, what have I done?
You're just in the way, so please stand up and leave.
In front of all the employees, I was embarrassed and felt utterly rejected. At the same time, I felt a surge of anger towards Nancy. I don't know why she's demeaning me to this extent. It's clear Nancy dislikes me for some reason and wants me out. With that in mind, I stood up forcefully.
What is it? Do you have a complaint or something? You don't, do you? After all, I am the CEO's daughter.
No, I have nothing to say.
Then will you please leave quickly?
Nancy stood in front of me, arms crossed, pointing towards the exit. I responded to her like this. I'm leaving. At those words, the surrounding employees began to murmur. However, Nancy seemed satisfied with my response, smirking at me.
If you had just said that from the beginning. Look, the exit is over there.
I picked up my belongings and walked towards the exit. Honestly, there was so much more I wanted to say to Nancy. But causing trouble at the new CEO's inauguration party wasn't an option, and I felt sorry for the other employees who had gathered on their day off. I had endured unreasonable treatment until now. But tolerating it any further won't change Nancy, and it's just a waste of time and effort. That's what I was leaving the party venue. However, the moment I left the party venue, Nancy's face turned pale as she chased after me.
Wait a minute.
What do you need now?
I'm sorry. Please come back.
Nancy looked desperately panicked, something I had never seen before, and began pleading for me to return. Just a moment ago she was telling me to leave. Why is she asking me to come back now? While I was thinking this, Nancy grabbed my hand and tried to pull me back forcibly. Please stop. Weren't you the one who said you didn't want to touch my hand?
That was just the mood at the moment. Come back quickly.
Despite saying she didn't want to touch my hand earlier, now she was gripping it firmly and wouldn't let go. I just wanted to go home quickly, but I was getting dragged into more trouble. And I had a rough idea why Nancy was suddenly changing her tune and trying to bring me back. Are you trying to bring me back because someone told you to?
Yes, what's wrong with that?
In truth, I had been appointed as the new CEO. Thanks to my sincere work, I was elected by the shareholders. Although there had been rumors that Nancy, the former CEO's daughter, would become the new CEO, she was removed from consideration due to certain events. Well, it would indeed be a huge issue if you drove out the new CEO.
Shut up. Why would someone like you become the CEO? That's ridiculous.
Well, isn't that just desserts? Hearing my words, Nancy let go of my hand and glared sharply at me. Nancy was removed from the candidate list for the new CEO because of her own actions. She was set to enter Alphabet Corporation as the next CEO. Despite this, she kept postponing joining because she didn't want to work. Now 30, she has spent about 8 years without working. If you had been involved in management from the start, you would have been a candidate for the new CEO, right?
I didn't want to work. Besides, my family has more money than we could ever need.
Nancy still lives at home at 30. While most people her age are married or living independently and working, she continues to live a carefree life without any particular reason. And yet, she had dreamed of becoming the CEO one day. If you wanted to be CEO, shouldn't you have made an effort to deserve it?
Effort? I'm different from poor people like you. I was born into nobility. I don't need to make an effort.
Then, there's no need for you to work as a full-time employee at Alphabet Corporation, right? At this, Nancy's eyes widened in surprise. In fact, before my appointment as the new CEO was decided, there had been talks of Nancy working as a full-time employee. This was because her father, the CEO, wanted his daughter to start working. But before she became a full-time employee, I was appointed as the new CEO, so now I also have the authority to make decisions. Judging by Nancy's behavior, I can imagine her working at Alphabet Corporation. It seemed she would be more of a liability than an asset. That's why I have no intention of hiring Nancy, and I plan to discuss this with the CEO.
You're not planning to hire me? You know what will happen if you don't, right?
What do you mean?
I'll tell my dad right now and have you fired.
Nancy said with a triumphant look, but I decided to tell her the truth. I have already been appointed as the CEO.
What? I thought the appointment wasn't official until the party.
Apparently, Nancy thought the official appointment would be during the party. That's why she had been trying so hard to drive me out. When I thought about it, her irrational behavior and attempts to oust me made sense.
All that effort to drive you out.
Nancy said, her shoulders dropping in disappointment. As I was wondering what to do next, I saw a man approaching from the venue. Daniel, it's been a while. How was your business trip abroad?
Hey, you're the president now, right? And Nancy, did you apologize properly?
Dad,
The man who came out was Daniel, the former president. He hasn't completely retired from Alphabet Corporation and plans to be involved in management for a while longer, which is why he attended the party. What apology are you talking about?
I witnessed Nancy saying unreasonable things to you earlier. I told her to go apologize.
I see. She tried to bring me back, but there was no apology. Hearing this, Daniel glared fiercely at Nancy. Nancy flinched at the force of his words and looked at me as if asking for help.
isn't it strange that I'm not the president?
Look, didn't you steal money from the family safe and squander it on some guy?
How do you know about that?
Nancy covered her mouth in shock, then looked resigned. This was the first I'd heard of it, but it seems Nancy has been financing herself with money stashed away in her parents' dresser. That explained why she had branded items and dined out frequently despite not working. I don't know if the guy knew, but it's likely he was after her money.
I've turned a blind eye because you're my daughter, but I can't tolerate this any longer. Leave the house.
Wait, don't say I have to leave. Where am I supposed to go? I don't have any money.
Get a job and start living on your own to understand the hardships of life.
Daniel's harsh words made Nancy collapse to the ground.
Why is this happening to me? I absolutely can't live alone.
It's all your own doing. When I said that, Nancy glared at me. I might have regretted it, but after everything she said to me, I hope she'd forgive this much. If you keep looking down on others, it will all come back to haunt you. Despite the people around, she began to cry loudly then and there. I never expected an adult to break down so completely, but it showed just how devastated she felt. I walked back to the venue, leaving Nancy behind. Later, I attended the inauguration party as the new president and enjoyed the delicious food. My meal hadn't been prepared, but since Nancy didn't return to the venue, I took her portion. The party ended without any issues, and I received congratulations from the staff. Nancy did not return but reportedly spent the whole night crying at home. When she tried to leave the house with all the money, Daniel caught her. After a long lecture, her money was taken away, and she was told to leave the house again. Nancy resisted leaving, but the property rights were with Daniel. When he said she would be forced out if she didn't leave, she packed her suitcase to the brim and left the house.
You've really had a hard time. I've spoiled my daughter too much.
No, I don't have children, so I can't say for sure, but I understand the feeling of spoiling them.
It eases my mind a bit to hear you say that. I'm really glad you became the new president.
Some might wonder why I'm saying this as a president, but I still think I have no particular talent. The only thing I can do better than others is work hard, but I've always tried to be honest with myself and others. If you face people sincerely, the results will follow. Deserve to be rewarded. That's what I believed as I lived these 22 years. I was groping in the dark, unsure if what I was doing was right, but it must have been the correct path. Many people hope to climb to my position but never make it. I think not only effort but also luck played a part in my success. So, I won't get arrogant about my abilities or efforts, and I intend to continue living humbly and sincerely. Some may say it's all idealistic, but this is my life. After being disowned by her family, Nancy desperately sought help and headed to her boyfriend's place. However, the man she thought was her boyfriend turned out to be married, and when she rang the doorbell, his wife answered and a chaotic scene ensued. Nancy continued to insist that they were in a relationship, which led the wife to demand compensation for infidelity. And when she suggested to the man she had thought was her boyfriend that they should live together after divorcing his wife, Nancy was met with a flat-out rejection. It turns out, he had only been after Nancy's money and had no intentions of living with her or marrying her. Having no one to turn to, Nancy now lives alone in a rundown one-room apartment, leading a lonely life. Daniel, having kicked her out, does check up on her, worried about her well-being. But from a distance, as he has no intention of helping her anymore. Nancy is now working as a cashier at a corner store near the station, making an effort to stand on her own feet. If she had changed her ways sooner, she might not have ended up in such a tough situation. Hearing about Nancy's current state from Daniel, I vowed to continue working harder than anyone else to ensure I never end up like that. Several months have passed since I became the new president. When I joined Alphabet Corporation, I never dreamed I would become the president. I hoped to work like Daniel, whom I admired, but never imagined I'd be in the same position. Being a president is incredibly busy with endless tasks. Initially, the pressure of managing employees was overwhelming, and stress even caused me physical illness. But now, I manage to enjoy my work and sleep comfortably at night. From my office, I watch the other employees. Since I joined, many have resigned and many young people have joined. When I started, there were only incredible people, and I hope to maintain the same environment for the employees going forward. I wonder who will be the next president as I watch the staff with excitement.